guys, and welcome to the newest episode of Be Hero Presents the Bump Card Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, as always, Brian, and with me tonight is my tag partner, Psycho. How are you doing tonight, Psycho?
I'm doing good. Feeling festive around the holidays.
As am I. And hopefully we're done with our hiatuses that we've had to take. I apologize because it's been a variety of different things. I know I keep saying that every time we come on and do an episode, but life happens. We try to do these when we can, as often as we can.
We're busy guys.
We're two wild and crazy guys.
And sometimes we're just tired because we're old.
Right. Oh, man. Anyhow, we have a great episode on here this episode. Let's try that again. We have a great episode this week for you, though. We are reviewing AEW Full Gear. It's been a while since we had the opportunity of doing a review episode, so let's see if we remember how to do this. But before we do that, as we always do, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the World Wrestling News. So, Psycho, take us away. What happened in wrestling this week?
So the first news story that I have here is an interesting one. So Ricky Starks was going to be on a GCW show.
Yes.
Or a few of them. And AEW had pulled Ricky from appearing on the shows. It's a big controversy. Have you read about this?
I didn't read anything about it. One, I try to stay out of a lot of the wrestling news when we're doing these episodes. Oh, right. And two, Ricky Starks. So I didn't read much about it outside of that base headline.
Okay, so apparently the main reason why AEW pulled Ricky Starks from GCW, and I'm a fan of Ricky Starks.
Yes. Everyone's allowed to be wrong.
Hey, it's better than Austin Theory, okay? He's a better version of Austin Theory, in my opinion.
Theory titles.
What?
Austin Theory's had more titles.
Yeah, that is true. But so anyway, on this, the main reason was because GCW star Effie basically was on his podcast, was on Effie's podcast talking about basically upset because AEW booked the Hammerstein Ballroom within like the same month that GCW is going to be doing a show there. And he basically took Tony Khan to task over it, and said it was a bad move, and said that that GCW doesn't have, or the promoter of GCW, which you've met, right?
Brett? Yeah, Bruce. Or Brett, sorry, yeah.
Brett, yeah.
Brett, yeah.
Yeah. Saying that he doesn't have a dad that's willing to pay him money to go away. And so
wow.
So kind of making it personal, and Tony Khan is sensitive, right? And so yeah, he pulled Ricky Starks from the shows after he had been advertised. My initial gut after reading this, and I feel like I'm siding with AEW on this one.
For me, this goes into the Jim Cornette feel of things, right? Or Vince McMahon feel. There's money to be made here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can make a whole thing with GCW and AEW. I know GCW has a working relationship with the WWE, but they also have one kind of with AEW,
mm-hmm.
right?
Otherwise, they wouldn't have allowed Ricky Starks to be on their show.
Exactly, right? And they've had other people on there from AEW on GCW. I think the only caveat is they can't have WWE stars and AEW stars on the same show at the same time. But there's money to be made there. Like, if Effie wants to talk garbage, maybe bring Ricky back give Ricky that storyline. Have Effie work some AEW shows and GCW shows against Ricky. and make that money instead of using it and getting all pissy. So, excuse me, and got the gas in the chest.
I kind of, so just kind of going off of things though, like if AEW's allowing, you know, their stars to come help out your indie promotion, like why would you rock the boat like that? You know, why would you, you know, say something like a personal attack against the promoter, Tony Khan, right? It's like, I don't know. But keep in mind too, this is not surprising from Tony Khan because he's the same guy that when CM Punk had his issues with the Elite, they didn't do business either. They could have made money with their personal issues.
They could have made a lot of money. Yeah.
Right?
We've had our talks and our feelings about that. But yeah, there was a ton of money on the table to have been made.
Yeah. And they didn't do it, right? Because they didn't want to work with them. Well, same thing here. You know, it's like Tony Khan's kind of got a reputation of not putting business before his personal feelings.
Yeah, and it's hurt him in the past. It's going to continue to hurt him here. And that being said, like Effie's been around long enough to know better to do this. He's I had a chance to meet him also while we did the GCW show, and he was a fine enough guy. Like he was professional with me and everything else, but he's one of the big stars for GCW.
Yeah,
and you have to think about everything you do when it comes to podcasts and social media and stuff like that. Like we talk stuff on Tony Khan and we've talked stuff on H. McMahon, things like that, but we've never put anybody down. We've always just maybe disagreed with their thoughts, but we would never do that. And not just because, you know, that we're trying to stay professional, which we are, but you not so much anymore, but myself, I'm tied with a promotion and I don't want to hurt our opportunities with that promotion.
Right.
With other people with AEW, especially with as hard as some of the people work to get us those ties. And it's just staying in that professional realm. So I think that the reaction that Tony Khan has for this was the wrong reaction, but I don't think that Effie should have done this initially. It's not very professional of him, and he should know better.
Yeah, it's a tough situation, and the people that it really affects, like, really is the GCW fans, right? Because they had Ricky Starks advertised, and now they had to change it because of this issue.
Yeah. And it sucks because Brett's the promoter of GCW is a good dude. When I had a chance to meet him, and he's a hard worker. Like he busts his butt for that promotion, as well as all the guys backstage. So you make up these storylines, you make up these opportunities, and all because somebody's opinion was loud. It makes it so that opportunities have gone away.
Yep, it's always sad when advertised talent, you know, gets pulled out by one of the big federation, you know, the big promotions, and you know, and it's really the promotions fans that suffer. So
sure.
So next news story I have here. So this is interesting. So WWE files to trademark RKO.
Oh.
So which is surprising to me not in the fact that they're trademarking RKO, but in the fact that they have not already trademarked the initials RKO.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder if there was some thing about why not doing it or something like that. There had to have been a reason for it. But they've been doing a lot of trademarking lately. They also recently trademarked Edge as well. Which, you know, your own opinions on trademarking Adam Copeland's WWE name. But they did that. It's got to be something to do with the game or merchandising or things like that, which is my only thought.
Mm-hmm. And as far as the RKO one, like, my gut tells me that they that maybe they at one time had the RKO trademark and they let it lapse for whatever reason, and now they're getting it back. That would make more sense than just thinking that they never attempted to trademark RKO. As big as of a star as Randy Orton is, especially when like the RKO out of nowhere was really taking off on social media and everything, and the memes and the gifs and all of that. So I just found that interesting that they hadn't already got that one.
I wonder if they couldn't do that because there's probably a business name with that initial set, and that's what it was. So they maybe had to, if they used RKO on merchandise, they had to do something with royalties or something.
Maybe. I mean,
RKO seems like it could easily be a business name.
Could be. Yeah. Speaking of which, on as far as trademarks go, there was a lawsuit. So Cody Rhodes was involved in a lawsuit based off of his nickname, the American Nightmare, because apparently there's a band called American Nightmare, and Cody had actually made a deal with them that if they were to do any merchandise with American Nightmare, that they would make it clear that it was, like on t-shirts saying Cody Rhodes or his symbol or something like that, so that people would be able to distinguish the two, because they were saying though that since WWE put out American Nightmare t-shirts and stuff, that it just had American Nightmare with no mention of Cody Rhodes. And so they were saying that people were buying merchandise from either or and confusing it with the other. And so there was a lawsuit, and WWE is trying to get the lawsuit dismissed because it does have the logo of the tattoo that Cody Rhodes has on his neck, and on the t-shirts. And so they're saying that alone should be enough to distinguish between the two. And so kind of interesting though, because it made me think of it though, because you brought up trademarking for merchandise and that sort of thing.
That's interesting too, because AEW or WWE was recently here for SmackDown double taping, and merchandise wise, they had an American Nightmare style shirt, except for it wasn't American Nightmare; it was Utah Nightmare.
Ooh. On it. Interesting marketing there, right? Because if you make it unique I wonder if they're doing that in every city that they go to, because that would be smart to try to sell, a bunch of those to the local market.
I mean, it would make the best sense too, because now it's also branding like with that market for it, and then also kind of tiptoes around that trademark, as it were.
Yeah. And very interesting on that. Let's see. I really don't have a lot of other news other than I don't know if you saw it, WWE has also released footage of when CM Punk made his return at Survivor Series last year.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yes, very interesting seeing that, because I've heard CM Punk talk about the backstage, and what had happened. Very interesting to see it, from video itself, and so I love that they released that. I may or may not have watched that quite a few times.
Oh, Nikki. Anyhow, side tangent totally, and the very smallest of wrestling news, but I want to give props to Baron Corbin, who, as of this recording, I believe it was today or yesterday, won a gold medal in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a tournament. Recently released Baron Corbin.
Yes,
did that. So props to him.
Yeah, I didn't know about the medals, so that's awesome. Yeah, but I did know he was released. Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of sad to see that he was released because he's kind of been a a regular fan
Mhm.
at WWE. And I think when he was in NXT, he was a good hand for that right there. So I was surprised they let him go.
I don't know. Here's the thing about Baron Corbin. From everything I've heard in interviews, seems like a great guy, right? Very well liked.
Yeah.
I just I always felt like his whole character or his persona, I always found it very boring to me. I don't think he found something that worked, like the lone wolf, or the where he like won the lottery or whatever it was. Like those are
Yeah.
probably the two most memorable for me of his gimmicks, but still it never really seemed like main event material to me.
No, and I wouldn't have put him in main event, even though like he has that main event size.
Mhm.
But the last several years, he seemed to finally start understanding his place in the company, and in that fashion, like where he was going to always kind of be like the mid card threat, but could also be a good hand for somebody coming up. And like in NXT, him and Rob Breaker tagged and ended up with the NXT championships for a while, and that worked out really well. And they played off each other really well. So I think there was always kind of a spot for him in that aspect, but I don't know. It surprises me he was let go. Funny enough, like he is a very funny dude. If you haven't had a chance, go find his YouTube page. And he does a lot of like cooking and food stuff on YouTube and Facebook and stuff. And like he's pretty freaking funny when he's like cooking up steaks and things like that on his grill.
That's just it though. It's like I think maybe they missed the boat with him as far as maybe they should have made him into a chef or something or a cook, and he could have let more of his natural personality come out.
Yeah, yeah. I always felt like that he was a square peg in a round hole kind of feel and everything he was doing.
There you go, Chef Corbin. It actually kind of rolls off the tongue, kind of nice, Chef Corbin. Yeah, maybe. Gosh, see, WWE, you need to pay me for these ideas.
They also at the same time released who was it? It was Tegan Knox and who was the other one? It was also a female.
It was.
I can't remember who it was. And Tegan Knox kind of makes sense to a bit. Like she never got her feet under her because she kept getting injured, and every time they would do something with her, like she'd start going and get injured again. And as good as she is, like Dakota Kai and Nia Valkyria kind of fill that same role that she was doing. So that makes sense for Tegan Knox, even though she's a fantastic worker. I think if she goes to like Evolve or to GCW or MLW or something like that, I think she will be great in those. I just don't. I don't know what she needs to do with WWE to do more. Uh, that being said, I do have one more question for you as we're trying to figure out who this last one is.
Okay.
And now we have two new main roster mid card titles for women. How do you feel about that?
Wait, two new ones? Wait.
They introduced the women's IC title on Raw last week or this week.
So there's now 4 singles women's championships on the main roster.
Correct, sir.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like there's too many titles as is, not just with the women, but overall in general. And I feel like something's got to give, right? There's going to be titles that aren't given the proper time. Because only one of two things can happen. Either you're going to have titles that are going to get forgotten about and maybe defended like every couple of months, something like that, or once every other month or whatever, or every match on the show is going to be a title match, and there's not going to be any stories that don't involve a championship.
And do remember, Raw is now 2 hours again, so we have less time on there. So I don't know. I agree with you. I think there might be too many, but at the same time, I also do believe that the women should have a mid-card title too. So it's a give or take. We talked off the air when you were over at the house watching Full Gear about the women maybe needing their own show.
Mm-hmm. I'm very much a component of that.
That might be the way to resolve this issue per se. But at the same time, who's going to watch it? I mean, they did the pay-per-view for them, and as cool as it was also one of the lowest rated pay-per-views that they've had in a long time.
I mean, but that, keep in mind too, I don't believe the star power of the women was as big as it is now. I mean, they did have Ronda Rousey, but she was wrestling Nikki Bella, and it's come a long way since that. So if they were able to get like Charlotte Flair back in the fold and Becky Lynch or some of those big name stars, like I feel like they could make it work. It's just a matter of giving them the time to tell their story. I actually loved the Evolve pay-per-view that they did. Whether or not, it was, highly, bought or not, or watched, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel if you're going to go that route of making more championships for the women, I think you have to sign a lot more women too.
Well, that part's not as big of a problem as people would think. NXT actually has an overflux of women, so they just need to crop up a bunch of those women on there, and they're doing really good. The women have actually been going with the mid-card title at NXT for a short time, but for a time. So they should definitely do so. I think by count, there's SmackDown's got something like 7 currently on the main roster for women, and something like 8 on Raw.
Well, think about this though. Like if you count NXT, just counting singles women's championships, that means there's 6 women's championships, singles title. 7.
The WWE Speed Women's Champion, who is currently Candice LeRae.
Okay. So 7 singles women's championships. And then you throw in the tag team championships. Is there still only 1 tag team, or is that 2?
There's only 1.
Okay. But that means 9 of the women across all the brands are champions.
Mm-hmm. There are 9 on Monday night. I think 7 or 8 on Friday night. And NXT has got something like 17 women.
That still means that over 50% of the women are number 1 contenders, right? Or getting shot. Like there's not, like, if you're not in the title contention, you're probably in the title contention the next month, because I don't think there's enough women for that. But even still, are they all going to get time? Like, how do you make that work?
Time is going to be a hard one, especially when it comes to pay-per-views, right? H has mentioned that he's very strict on about 5 to 6 matches a pay-per-view. And if you look at main roster, right, you're not going to have as many. That being said, they've also been doing a lot of the SmackDown before having title matches because it's building into that. So that may be what they do. But
I mean, I trust Triple H because, I mean, I'm loving most of what he has done and continues to do.
Mhm.
So I will put faith in Triple H. I do have reservations about the whole thing.
I do too, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yep, we'll see how it plays out.
Who knows? Going to Netflix, they might add an extra hour for just the women on both shows. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen.
I feel like that would be easy to do with Netflix, right? Because you don't have to find television time, so to speak, on like a cable network or something like that. Or so I feel like you could add another show easier on a streaming service, right? Especially if it wasn't live, if it was like on demand.
I was just thinking about this, right? Didn't Netflix produce Glow? The show?
I think so.
Maybe they end up bringing back Glow as a WWE product.
I mean, they'd have to buy it, I guess, but
I don't know how their rights are for the Glow thing and anything else like that. But yeah, like that'd be interesting. And you already have the built-in name, like built-in branding for it.
Maybe, perhaps.
So anyhow, that all being said, guys, that is it for our news and everything building to that. Before we jump in, though, to this review, there was one important question, Psycho, that I have for you. Since this episode is airing on Turkey Day, what is your go-to Turkey Day snack?
So for snack, I really like celery with cream cheese on it. That's my thing.
You can throw some raisins on there and make yourself a ants on the log?
No, I don't do the ants on the log. I don't do that. Just the cream cheese on the celery.
I'm not a big celery fan. It's too fibrous for me.
Okay.
So I'm not the hugest fan of it. I don't mind it in other things, and I like celery salt on the flavor for things, but I just don't like the fiberiness of celery.
See, my girlfriend has never had the cream cheese on it. She had the peanut butter on the celery with the raisins, the ants on the log, but she didn't have the cream cheese on the celery. So she actually bought celery, with the cream cheese to try it, and I'm looking forward to it because I haven't had it in a little bit, but it is one of my favorite snacks growing up when it comes to Thanksgiving.
You make it really difficult to try and stay professional on this podcast.
Wait, we're professional?
Well, our level of professional. For me, my go-to when it comes to snacks for literally any holiday, because my family knows me so well, is I love deviled eggs. I love deviled eggs so much. We talked about it before on Slightly Agitated, our other podcast that we do, and it has always been my go-to snack for every holiday. So much so, my family make a plate of deviled eggs for me and a plate of deviled eggs for everybody else. They actually had to start working on a second plate for me now because I have to share with the kids, and my girls also love deviled eggs. So I
love deviled eggs too. Here's my thing with that, and I think that would be perfect. Your own plate, right? Because here's my issue with the deviled eggs. Because I love deviled eggs, but even if somebody's serving up deviled eggs, I very rarely will eat them. And the reason being, because being the germaphobe that I am, right? When people are grabbing the deviled eggs from the plate or whatever with their bare hands and everything, I'm a big nope. I'm not going near it. And so if it got prepared and I had my own plate, I would love that. but reaching in to grab the deviled eggs that everybody else is putting their filthy hands in, nope.
My aunt, who makes these often for me, she actually has a specialty plate for deviled eggs where it's formed. So you drop an egg inside of a form. So it's great for the look of deviled eggs, but it's kind of a pain in the ass because you have to like stick your finger partially into the cup of the deviled egg to pull it out. So yeah, I can totally see why that's a problem. But I'm not as big of a germaphobe as you are, so I'm totally okay with this.
This I know, but yeah, it's. But I love that. I love deviled eggs. I just need to, I don't know, make sure, like, all right, who's been around this, who's touched it first. If I've got first dibs on it, I'm a lot more likely to grab some. But I also want to know, all right, who prepared these? Are they somebody I trust as being cleanly? That I don't know. I just
Well, let's go ahead and leave that there.
yes.
With that being said, let's go ahead now and jump into our review of AEW's Full Gear 2024. All right, Psycho. So hit us up with the first match.
Okay, so the first match is it's actually hold on. My phone's being weird. Da, da, da. Okay, there we go. All right, so it's for the AEW World Tag Team titles. It's a 4-way tag team match. We've got Private Party defending against the House of Black versus the Acclaimed versus the Outrunners. And they did all the entrances on the pre-show, on the 0 hour pre-show.
Nope.
Or most of them, right?
All but Private Party.
Okay, all but Private Party. Okay. Which, is their way of saving time, on the main show, because they've got to have a 4-hour pay-per-view. And apparently these entrances would have put them over. As far as this match goes, like, I was actually a little underwhelmed by this match.
I can feel that. This, though, unlike a lot of AEW matches, though, had story involved in it, and they also showcased certain things to it, right? Because I believe this is the first time you ever saw the Outrunners, correct?
I've seen them before.
Okay.
I don't know where. I don't think it might have been their first pay-per-view. I want to say I've seen them on a show, though.
ROH is where they usually are. So
okay, so I might have seen them on an ROH clip or something, but I do know that I've seen the gimmick. In my opinion, though, this match, because the whole point of it is to have Private Party have a good defense, right, for their first pay-per-view title defense.
I don't know if actually I would call that the part of the story, like the part for the match. Honestly, I think this match, which was fine, I think all participants did okay. Honestly, I think Private Party was probably the weakest of the participants in this match, but this is more about the Acclaim.
Yes, it looks like they're going to be breaking up the Acclaimed, is what it looks like to me.
Yeah, Matt Caster was definitely going more on the heelish end, where Bowen was not, including at one point a blind shot on one of the Outrunners while Bowen was trying to do the scissor me with them. So they were definitely trying to tell that story through this match, and I think for the most part they succeeded.
But here's the thing: if that was what they were going to do, so the two main goals of this match is Private Party gets a big defense, of their titles to build up their credibility, and you're also building up, the Acclaimed having friction in the team. I feel like it would have accomplished more to just have it straight up Private Party versus the Acclaimed and tell those two stories. It would have been a much bigger win for Private Party than in a 4-way match for their first title defense. I think it would have worked so much better. You didn't really need House of Black or the Outrunners in there. The only reason I feel like those teams were in there is they needed, they wanted people to make the show. And the Outrunners are apparently, starting to get a little bit of a following. And so they wanted to put a little bit of shine on them. But other than that, like, this didn't need to be a 4-way. There, I don't know. I feel like it would
I
have worked
agree.
better as a straight up tag match.
I agree for the most part. I think a triple threat may have been actually the cap with the Outrunners. You didn't need the House Black in here really at all. And it's for that same fact. I think that spot with Bowen trying to do the scissor me with one of the Outrunners, because it's a huge face team, right? I think that was the necessity for this story, but at least a lot more over than Private Party. To be fair, Private Party is such a bland tag team for me. I don't really care about them as champion.
Well, I feel like with Private Party, I feel like it's like 4 years too late, right? Because like Private Party, when they first appeared in AEW, like very early on, and they were having the matches with the Young Bucks and everything early on, they were very much an exciting tag team, and the crowd was way more into their matches then.
Well, that's because they were something new. Like
right.
they haven't changed.
Right, though. That's what I'm saying, is that I think if we had made them champions then, it would have worked better for the time than now. It almost seems like it's it's rewarding them for their loyalty or something like that. It's really not like it's not saying, hey, you're the best tag team right now. It's, you know what, you guys have done so well for us, you've stuck around, here's your reward, the tag team titles. And
it was more, instead of saying they're the best, it was their attaboy.
Yeah, exactly. And that only works if you're going to do an attaboy to somebody. It only works if the fans are still behind you and clamoring for it.
Yeah, like a Kofi Mania.
Yeah, that was an attaboy, if there ever was an attaboy. But the fans demanded that, because Kofi caught fire at the right time, and they really had no choice but to put him over.
Yeah.
Same thing here. No, not the same thing here, because because the fans, I don't think, were clamoring. It was almost out of nowhere.
Yeah. It didn't, like, when I saw that they were champions, I'm like, what? Why? When did this happen? Like, it didn't make any sense.
I think it was mostly too because the Young Bucks wanted to take some time off and they needed to drop it to somebody. And it's like, oh, we can't drop it to the Acclaimed, right? It's like,
I think that would have been a better choice, because now you have champions who are fighting.
Perhaps. Or, and here's just a thought, if you're trying to get shine on the Outrunners, why not drop it to them in an unexpected thing? Because then you make a new star tag team, right? Yeah. And it's a fresh act instead of somebody that, or a team that was over 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's not much more to say about this match.
No. Private Party retains. So that's pretty much what you need to know about this match. We've covered it. So Orange Cassidy was in the back, actually cut a really good promo to set up his main event. I actually really like the promo because you don't get to see that kind of like intense, serious promo from Orange Cassidy that often. He usually is just like, whatever, it's in his entrance even. So what did you think of the promo that he cut back?
I agree. I think it was a good promo, an emotional promo that needed to be had. They've actually been doing a phenomenal job on getting Orange Cassidy over with this stuff. And not that he wasn't already over, but making him not only over, but seeming like a credible threat for the title.
Yeah, when I saw, I haven't watched the whole build up to the match, but when they put together that November Rain hype video hyping all the matches for Full Gear, the stuff that they put in there with Moxley and Orange Cassidy, it got me fired up to see the match. So it did its job. They did a good job with that. So the next match is MJF versus Roderick Strong. On paper, this sounds like a fantastic match. It does. It's like MJF usually delivers, especially on pay-per-view. Roderick Strong is a very fine worker. The problem I had with this is I think the whole story is a big mess. Like I don't even understand where it's going. I don't understand what's happening with it. Cuz the whole thing, so way back in December, Adam Cole, was revealed as the devil, turned on MJF. And then of course Adam Cole was still injured, so he kind of disappeared. He wasn't ready to wrestle. MJF was injured. He took time off, so we didn't get the blow off immediately. And then while we're waiting for MJF to return, Adam Cole and the whole his whole group, are they still called the Undisputed? What are they?
Undisputed Kingdom.
Undisputed Kingdom. Okay, so that whole thing really got cold, like fast. And then by the time MJF returns initially as a baby face, because he knocks out Adam Cole, does that, and then he wrestles for a little bit, and then he goes away for a little bit. He comes back as a heel, and he starts doing heel things. Adam Cole returns, but now he's a baby face because MJF's his heel. So they're trying to swap the whole story, making it seem like MJF was in the right and doing that. And are you confused yet? Because I am. Like this was not a good double turn. This is not Bret Austin.
No, but it wasn't built any way to do that. And then with both of them taking time off, the whole story got cold.
That's the thing, though. It's like if you know MJF is injured, if you know Adam Cole's injured and can't do the payoff, don't do the devil's storyline then. Why unmask him then when you could have had, honestly, creative cap going on here for a second on this. So what I would have done with the whole story, if I know that they're both injured and you can't pay it off, you have the devil storyline. You have the devil still in the mask and all the other masked guys without unveiling them. You have them do a beatdown on MJF so it takes him out. and then you have them run roughshod over everybody. You don't even have to have MJF wrestle then, right? You can, I don't know if you have somebody else, or you have him not having to wrestle and calling the shots and just do beatdowns for a bit, right?
You mean Adam Cole?
Sorry, Adam Cole. Who did I say?
MJF.
Oh, sorry, Adam Cole. You have him, the devil and his, his lackeys or whatever. You have them do beatdowns. They're still not unmasking, and people would be like, "Oh, when are they going to pay this off?" But they'd stick with it. It'd have a better story than if the way it played out. And then when MJF comes back, he doesn't go into business for himself and become a heel just because he's a heel. You have him come back as the babyface, and he's still super over. And then you're able to have your big payoff match or whatever. Maybe he has to run through every member of the Undisputed Kingdom, in order to get to Adam Cole. Much better story idea than the way that it went about. And I do feel like some of it maybe was like, oh, well, we didn't know how long they'd be out. But I feel like they knew that they weren't ready for a while. So, and they still went forward with it.
I think in a similar vein, I would have done pretty much the exact same concept that you're talking about, of have them do a big beatdown regularly or whatever, and have people trying to figure out who it is, and maybe do a couple of red herrings and who it is, things like that. And I would even have gotten it to right up to the point where Bryan Danielson was champ, and have the Devil cost him the title, and then they run on him, and that's when he unmasks himself after this whole time with finding out it's Adam Cole, and then MJF returns. Because instantly MJF returning to save Daniel automatically makes him a super babyface. And then that allows him to go right into being the number one babyface right after Daniel's leaving.
Right, because MJF has kind of lost a little bit of his appeal. You know, he's not as over as what he was, a heel or babyface. Honestly, if they had foresight here, another thing they should have done is maybe don't turn Adam Cole, because, you know, and don't have him be the Devil, because that act was working just fine. They were both over when they were together. If you're going to do the whole Moxley story, you know, like how it turned out, what if he unveiled himself to be the Devil, and then you have that whole story, and now they're even more over with that. And then you've got him, you know, he does the thing with Bryan Danielson, he does the thing with MJF, he can face Adam Cole. You know, you still have Darby there, you still have Orange Cassidy, you have all these challengers built up. That to me seems like that carries you through the whole next year of stories.
Well, you could have even done it too, where you find out that that Moxley and the whole BCC up to that point, they were actually the Devils in group, and Daniel was never part of it. And it's the exact same storyline. Like they screw him out of it, the title, and MJF comes in and saves, and MJF now needs a group to help him go up against the Devils group, the Death Riders, which works perfect for the whole Devil thing. And now you are able to bring in the Undisputed Kingdom as a group, as a face group.
Yeah, and another thing there too, why I feel like Moxley would have made a much better Devil in this whole scenario. You know how we've kind of said that maybe the plastic bag over the head spot, it's like it's too much.
Yeah.
Right? It might have worked better though if it's the Devil doing it, right? Because that's a devil act, right? You can't get more devil than that. You're trying to kill the person, right? So if you do it then, it works better in that context, because you can play it off like this should never be condoned. This is very evil, right? This is evil. If they play it like that, I feel like it's more accepted. Not accepted as an act like, oh, that's a cool thing to do, but accepted in the fact of, yes, that's a very bad thing to do, but it's the Devil.
And it also allows, like, because, you know, Moxley's been a big face here at the company as well at certain times. And so he's going to have fans, even young fans, watching him. So you see him doing that. The young fans are going to think that's okay because their hero's doing it. If you have the Devil doing it, and then when Moxley undoes himself as the Devil and not have him do it as Moxley, you're saving that time. You're saving those fans.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's like we could book this better than Tony. Give the book up. I don't care who you give it. Give it up. Right? This is not rocket science. But anyway, the match, right? So it's not Adam Cole. No, he has to go through Roderick Strong. MJF does. The match was okay, but it was a fine TV match. This didn't need to be on pay-per-view. This could have been done on Dynamite.
This didn't have any of the emotion that it needed to be for a pay-per-view match, it felt like. Right? Like, they could have tied more into it where, like, Roddy's like, Adam, no, you stay up here. Like beforehand, they do a promo where Adam wants to go down with him. He's like, no, you stay up here. I'll take care of this. Like, even just that right there would have been more emotion for this match than we got.
Yeah, it almost seems reverse, because it's like, so Roderick Strong has to challenge MJF, like, because MJF won't face Adam Cole unless
Something like it's something
See,
weird.
it's still very confusing. It feels like MJF is the babyface in this situation, and he has to run through everybody to get to Adam Cole. It should be the opposite. It should be MJF with a group, and because why? If Adam Cole has a group here, why are they the baby faces when MJF is one guy? Like, that just is backwards. The match is okay. I was underwhelmed by it, though. I was expecting a lot more from these two. MJF makes him tap, makes Roderick Strong tap out to his arm breaker. And then after the match, MJF puts the hand of Roderick Strong or the arm in a steel chair, and then he does the basically Pillmanizes him, right, but with the arm. And then Adam Cole's music hits or whatever, and he runs out.
Well, the rest of the group does too. Like, it's not just Cole,
right?
But yeah,
but it's like, where was he when MJF was first grabbing the chair after the match? Like, why wait? Like, he had plenty of time, to get down there, and rightfully so. Kyle O'Reilly, who's down there, shoves Adam Cole basically and blames him for what happened to Roderick Strong, which I'm fully behind Kyle O'Reilly there, because I'm like, yeah, this is Adam Cole's fault. He should have been down there. It's one guy, MJF, right? So it's like, why you have a group? Why is he picking you guys apart one by one? Doesn't make any sense. He's not Stone Cold,
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mess. That whole storyline's a mess, and I'm ready for it to move on.
I'm wondering if MJF is second guessing re-signing with AEW at this point, and and not going over to Triple H's WWE, like, because he's less over than when he left.
Yeah.
So the next match, we've got Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander. Okay, so we've been talking about things that underwhelmed us and everything. This, however, exceeded my expectations.
I definitely felt whelmed.
Yes, I wasn't underwhelmed. I was whelmed. Maybe a little overwhelmed. But there was some whelming going on.
Don't say it that way.
Well, man, this is getting bad, really bad, really quick. So this match was really good, though. It was a really strong women's match, and they said that this was the longest women's match in AEW history.
I believe it. It felt like it was a long match.
It was almost 20 minutes. And Moné ends up winning with a roll-up for the pin, but this match was so solid, and the crowd was dead for most of this show, but they picked up during this match. And I've been underwhelmed by Mercedes Moné and AEW up to this point. But this match is what she should have been doing all along. This is what I expected out of Mercedes. Yeah, the crowd got into it. This was a good match. Honestly, I find up to this point best match of the show.
And honestly, it's the best match that Moné's had since she's been on AEW.
Oh yeah, and that's not saying much, right?
No.
It's not saying much, but it's like, oh, she is a good women's wrestler. I don't, when she wants to be, I guess, or when she finds the right chemistry with an opponent. So anything else you want to say on that match?
Not really. I mean, it was a good match. You should go watch it.
Yeah.
But, like, I never felt like Moné was going to lose this match.
No, I didn't either. And part of that's the build up for Statlander, right? Because she was just a heel, right? Like I swear she turned heel like just a couple of months ago or something, and now she's already back to being a babyface. And I don't really, I mean, I don't watch the weeklies, so maybe it's explained, but I don't really know why she's the babyface. So yeah, so maybe with a little bit more story, it would have worked better. But the match itself was really, really good. Go watch it. So next we get Hangman Adam Page versus Jay White. Talk about, you know, confusing as far as Hangman Adam Page. Is he a babyface? Is he a heel? You know, I'm they have a problem with this. I'm sensing a theme, like with the MJF Adam Cole stuff, Chris Statlander, Hangman Adam Page. It's
Jay White.
Yeah, Jay White even. Like yeah, because last I saw he was a heel, right? Except for when he was with the Bang Bang Gang, they were heels.
They
right?
were kind of a mix. Like the tags were heel and face when they were doing the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, and then they turned on the Acclaimed and kind of went more heelish on there. But then now Jay White's a face-like character.
Yeah, because he's going against Hangman Adam Page, who is now a heel.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll, you know, more on that to come later. But this match, I feel like, this was an okay match. It wasn't.
There was flashes of brilliance for me in this match. Like the finish, the way that they did the finish was so good, so clean. And the story that they had for this, where Jay White has always had Page's number over everywhere they've been, like they face each other. This was their fifth time, and Jay White's always beat him. So there was an AEW level of story for this match, and I think the finish worked really well. There was some not so great stuff in between, but
you know, I feel like this might be the biggest win of Jay White's career in AEW, at least up to this point, because it was a huge singles win. My only gripe is that Hangman Adam Page is losing to everybody lately. Like he's losing so much. Like he needs some big wins again, if he's going to be credible. Because I mean, he's putting over people left and right, which is, you know, that's great, but it's going to be diminishing returns if he doesn't beat some top people too.
Yeah.
But yeah, then after the match, Hangman Adam Page basically attacks Jay White on the ramp as Jay White's walking up the ramp. And then Christopher Daniels, who's an agent backstage with AEW, comes out to yell at
well, he's also currently one of the EVPs in storyline.
Right. So he comes out, though, and is yelling at Hangman, and Hangman decks him. Which I hope leads to a match. Just because there's somebody that Hangman can beat, you know, to get some heat and to stay credible. Yes, you know, Daniels doesn't really, you know, he hasn't wrestled like as a main attraction in a while, but he can still go. And I think that, like, if that match does happen, Hangman needs that win. If he puts Christopher Daniels over at this stage of his career, like, Hangman's jobber to the stars.
Right.
So
that being said, AEW, I will happily job if you want to pay me to literally everybody.
Pin me, pay me. Right. So the next match is Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. Now this has a whole lot of whelming going on for me. Okay, this is overwhelmed, and like I knew the match was going to be good, but then they over delivered here. Like, I mean, fantastic. I wasn't a huge fan of Kyle Fletcher going into this match. I just felt like he wasn't as established, as some guys.
He also felt like Ospreay light.
Yeah. But this match, talk about a match. If you haven't seen this match, go out of your way to see this match. It was fantastic. And this was the best match on the show.
I agree. I'm trying to remember if I liked the Takeshita Ricochet match better or not.
I did
don't
not
remember. But this one was definitely Kyle Fletcher's coming out party.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic, and everything looked crisp. It didn't look like, oh man, they botched that spot. Like the finish is actually Fletcher drops Will Ospreay on the top turnbuckle with a brainbuster, and gets the pin. Ospreay's had that move done to him before, and with not very good results.
No.
Almost
had the turnbuckle hook. Oh yeah, had the turnbuckle hook scrape down his back and a big old scar.
Yeah, and land on his head. And this though, it looked fantastic. It looked devastating, but it also looked as safe as that can be.
Mm-hmm.
So incredible performance from both guys here. Yeah, coming out party for Fletcher. I think now he's credible, right? He could go up against anybody and I would buy it after this match. Yeah. And Ospreay put him over like $1 million, destroyed his own body to put his buddy over.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to say about this match?
Go watch it. Just like I say for almost all Ospreay matches.
Yeah. So next we have the Champagne Championship Celebration with Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa.
Yes, good job.
Yes, that might be the first Japanese name I've ever pronounced correctly. But so they're basically doing a celebration here. Mina is really putting over Mariah May, and they enjoy some bubbly and they dance. And then Mariah goes to turn on her, which I actually thought was too soon. I thought it's like, oh, this is... I feel like they could have milked this a little bit more. And I was expecting, like, I know, like, in our group that we were watching with, like, the consensus was, I think, that Mina was going to turn on Mariah May, but it was the other way around. Mariah goes to turn on Mina, and they brawl, and basically Mina does this kick to the champagne bottle, that like shatters it out of the hands of Mariah May. And then Mina spears Mariah May through a table off the stage. And it was what it was. I mean, I guess it sets up a match. I don't know enough about Mina to care as much. And that's why I feel like they should have milked the story and gave it a little bit more layers.
It's required homework because she was a really good worker in Stardom and in Japan, and they actually had a thing, Mina and Mariah May, when Mariah May was in Stardom in Japan, where they had a whole thing where they were even do like a whole relationship thing, like it was a whole storyline thing. So it's required homework is what it was.
See, I feel like that's a big problem with AEW though, in Tony Khan, is he expects everybody to know everything that's going on with all these extra promotions and everything with Ring of Honor that he owned, with New Japan, with Stardom, with all these different promotions. And all it would have taken to catch me up to speed and make me care about this a little bit more is just a little video package. Put together a little video package showing us why we should care, so that they can foreshadow this a little bit, so that we care about the payoff.
I was explaining this at training tonight to a couple of the students. You need to always act with promos and matches in what I call the Stan Lee mode. Stan Lee, greatest comic book editor of all time, it always said the same thing. Every comic book needs to be treated as if it was someone's first comic book. Every promo, every match needs to be treated as if it's someone's first match or first promo watching. Because now, if you hook them with that, they'll go and do the homework. They'll go and find it. But if you don't hook them by giving them information of what they might need, then they're not going to do it. So if you go in cold with nothing, like we did with this, and needing required homework to even understand what was going on, then people are going to fall out. And that's what happened here.
And that's why I say that's one of like AEW's biggest problems is that they've got this core audience, right? That's dwindling by the month, right? Sometimes week to week, right? They've got this audience though. And if they ever want to grow that audience back to what it was, or even better than that, they have to attract new viewers to the product and get them to stay.
Yep.
And that does not happen if you don't fill them in on what they're missing so that they understand the story that you're trying to tell. And that's another problem, is that there's very few stories. So when there is a story like in this case, you need to educate the fans that, like you said, are tuning in for the first time. And that's how you're going to build that audience. I don't know. It would be so easy to just do video packages, before every match that has a story, just so fans can be caught up. Because I don't watch the weeklies, and I'm probably more diehard of a fan than your casual fans and everything. Yeah. And so if I don't know who this is and why I should care enough to even know, oh wait, they're breaking up, I barely knew they were together, right? If I don't understand it, the average fan is not going to understand it, and they're going to care even less.
And it's one of those things that WWE does so well, and especially on pay-per-views, is every match has like anywhere from a minute 30 to like a 10-minute long like video package.
Yeah.
There are video packages that WWE has done that are longer than some AEW matches.
Yeah, and like if you watch soap operas or like dramas and stuff, do they not say previously on, and they relay all the stories you need to know for that episode so you're caught up. So if you miss a week, it catches you up so you're invested in the stories that they're trying to tell.
I think AEW is trying to do it as still pushing on the sports entertainment. And so like in the sports, you don't get that per se, but I'm a big football fan. People who know me know, and I got the whole Niners thing back here. Like, but in football, they don't per se do that, but they have commentary that kind of ties it in, and then sometimes they'll do small things here or there, not per se promos, but small things to try and add to it and stuff like that. But here you kind of need it because you need the story, and even that, like the commentary doesn't really do the job. Like I like Excalibur. I think he does a great job as a play-by-play guy and does his best to do commentary, but I don't think that they do enough for commentary to be able to tell a backstory on something to really put it over. Like this, you couldn't do a commentary backstory on this spot.
No, you couldn't, but you could have done a video package right before it aired, Yeah. But going with your football analogy, see, I only watch, the game I watch every year without fail is the Super Bowl, okay? That's my one game that I watch religiously. Here's my thing though. If you watch like the build up on Super Bowl Sunday, right? If you watch like the pre-show and all of that stuff, do they not do a really good job of explaining why you should care about this team? Why you should they go through individual stories of like, this quarterback, he's trying to three-peat, or this quarterback, it's his first time, to the Super Bowl, and then they dive into his family life or different things like that. They do an incredible job of getting you to care. If you've never watched any other football game that season, by the time, if you really want to know the stories, they tell you all of it. So by the time the Super Bowl goes, you know who you're rooting for, and you know why. Right?
I mean, that's true. And if you think of it, the Super Bowl is like a pay-per-view match, right? That's exactly what this should be.
Mm-hmm.
So it does totally make sense. Anyhow, I think we put way too much time on this short promo.
On the spot, right? It's leading to interesting discussion, though. So next we've got, let's see here. We've got the TNT title match. Jack Perry defending against Daniel Garcia. I feel the match was okay. The crowd was dead for it, but it did create a great moment with Garcia making Jack Perry tap out to the Dragon Tamer, and winning the TNT championship here. It was technically solid, and I feel like, the finish got a big pop that woke the crowd up. I feel like it was a big moment. I don't know. The match was just okay, and I don't know. I mean, Daniel Garcia had to win a belt at some point, probably, if he wanted to take that next leap. I just feel like the Jack Perry title reign was kind of a waste to me. He came in with such fanfare after the whole CM Punk thing, and was a hated heel, the scapegoat and all that. And then he came in with that whole elite, attacking Tony Khan and all that. And where did any of that go? It should have led to something much bigger. Honestly, that should have led to the whole thing that Moxley's doing right now. That would have made more sense. Right? You could have played up in all the, again, missed opportunities here.
Yeah. And I mean, that's cue for AEW. They have strong workers. They have workers who can do great matches, and their production's good. Not great, but good. They just don't have the right guidance for a story, for stories to do. And I was fine with this match. I agree. I think Daniel Garcia deserved a title at some point, and this is a fine title for him to win. I think this match had a bit more of a story in the match than a lot of AEW matches do, because you have Daniel or Jack Perry kept telling Daniel he didn't have that killer instinct, and was trying to force him into hitting him with that whole thing, saying, if you want it, you have to hit me with the belt and all this stuff. And Daniel Garcia doesn't, and still is able to prevail. It does a good story in the match it was trying to tell. And this one did have a small preview to it. So you did have a little vignette about what was going on. So you kind of had an idea what was happening. But I agree, the whole scapegoat thing with Jack Perry, especially with him running in the title, it died on the vine. Where does Jack Perry go from here?
Yeah, and him losing the TNT championship should have made a much bigger deal. It's a big deal for Daniel Garcia, right? Because it's his first title. But for Jack Perry, where's all of his buddies that were around him, the Bucks, all of that, that group that was there? This would have made more sense if the Young Bucks were still champions and they dropped the titles to, whoever, the Private Party, even on this show. And then they go out to try to, help Jack Perry pin or win the match. And Daniel Garcia overcomes all the odds, the numbers game, and wins the title that way. And you basically have the fall of the group on the same night, and then they go away for a little bit, or whatever. That would have worked so much better with the story than what we got.
Yeah. And we didn't see Okada. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah. So, moving on. So next we've got the AEW International title, Takeshita versus Ricochet. You know, when this first was announced as an add-on to this show, I was super excited to see this match. I was like, oh, this is going to be fantastic, a fantastic addition. And, you know, this was 19 minutes and it should have been 12. I don't know. It wasn't a bad match, you know, but I feel like I'm like many other stars that have debuted in AEW. I'm over the whole Ricochet thing already. Like Takeshita retains with the Falcon Arrow to pin him, but he's already lost in a big match like this that was added last second. Like I feel like he's going to be Mercedes Moné as far as his run, but like less so because he doesn't even have a title. So everybody that debuts in AEW that comes over from WWE or something, they have a great first reaction and everything, maybe even a hot story to start. And then Tony Khan, you know, gets tired of playing with his old toys and finds a new toy. That's just kind of how I view it. He's playing with his action figures and he's like, oh, you know, I'm tired of this one. I need to buy a new action figure.
It's hard to disagree kind of with that because I do kind of feel in that same vein. Like they shot Ricochet up so quick into getting into a title picture, and then he loses it. I mean, the match was fine. I feel like those two could have done better in their match. Like I don't know how or what would have caused it to do better, but I felt like they could have done better in the match between those two because I think those both are very talented workers and everything. And I would like to see a rematch between the two, but yeah, I don't know. The match was fine, and it might have got overwhelmed on the quality of the match because of the Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match. Because it's kind of the same match,
and that's what I was expecting out of this match. I mean, for these two competitors, for these two wrestlers, when you just say the match was fine, it should be way better than fine, right? These are two of the best wrestlers, you know, the most spectacular anyway, right? And this should be the match that Ospreay had with Kyle Fletcher as far as, you know, like, holy cow, you know, what, you know, that was amazing. Like, on paper, I was expecting that. What we got was just, this could have been a Rampage match for all, you know.
I wouldn't have put it on Rampage. I mean, it was still better quality than that. Like, this could have been a match on
Collision.
Collision, I think, and been fine. This could have been a main event of Collision and been fine.
Yeah, I agree.
But where it's at here, and then on the same card as we got Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay, maybe we'd have to see it without Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay.
Maybe. I don't know. Ricochet needs a story. Like, they should have kept him winning matches, you know, and showing off his skills. They should have had him doing that for a while before he got a title shot. It would have worked better because he just debuted in August, right? And so you've got him debuting at Wembley, and then September, October, 3 months later, he's got a title shot and he loses the match. Like, where does he go from here? You know, and he needs a story. I don't know. I'm underwhelmed.
It's building it back up. Like, it's the same thing with Jack Perry. Like, you're going to have to build it back up. So it's the problem. And I mean, Takeshita's just being put on as like a beast, essentially. And, you know, he's the jewel of the Don Callis family, which is fine if you want to do that story. But Takeshita could lose. Like, having the title for Takeshita doesn't really mean anything for him. But it is what it is. I hope to see him soon. I hope to see a rematch soon. I think these two could do better.
I agree. So next we've got Swerve Strickland versus Bobby Lashley. I'm gonna tell you that I actually really liked this match. And I like Bobby Lashley is somebody that it's like we all know he's a good wrestler and he's a big name and everything, but sometimes he can come across as kind of boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here with MVP as his mouthpiece, bringing the whole Hurt Syndicate or whatever they're over to AEW, like it just works better in AEW. I feel like this is a main event faction, and beating Swerve right out of the gate, like, and I mean, how Swerve Strickland is falling, from where he was, just a couple of months ago.
I don't think I heard Strickland.
I don't think so either. I don't know. I feel like it was a good match though, and Bobby Lashley needed the win. And Bobby Lashley is a strong, upper mid card wrestler right now. And with enough of a push here, I could see him main eventing, versus some of these guys. I think it way over delivered though. And this, I like this match.
I agree, and like I said, I think this actually anything. I think this did good business for both Strickland and Lashley, because Strickland was able to do a lot to put him down. Right, you hit him with a bunch of big moves. You hit him with stuff like he was able to take the several hits from him and keep coming without like dying. Like it was not a pushover match. It felt almost 50-50. And if you could do a 50-50 match against Bobby Lashley and you're Strickland size, that's a good, like you're going to be, even if you lose, you're still going to be over.
Yeah, and Swerve passes out to the Hurt Lock, right? The full Nelson. And yeah, Bobby looked really good in this. And at least this match had a story. Right? They told actually, and I understood the story. I know the story. Like, I feel like this was a great way for Bobby Lashley to debut.
I agree.
So next we have our main event: Jon Moxley defending the AEW World Championship against Orange Cassidy. Of course, Moxley has the AEW Championship in his briefcase, or where he basically doesn't want it even shown. This match was fine. It was pretty good. It was good. It wasn't as good as I feel as their previous matches that they had for the Continental title. I think it was the Continental title, right? Or was it the International title? I forget.
It was pretty sure it was the Continental.
Okay. See, again, too many championships. I can't keep them all straight. Who holds the Continental now?
Keshta?
Oh, right. We just said that. No, wait. Doesn't he hold the International, or is that the same championship?
Nope, different championship. International would be...
See,
maybe that's the one that Okada has that we didn't see.
Oh, I think you might be right. You might be right. But this match was good. There's basically the Death Riders. A lot of them interfere, and just when you think Orange Cassidy is going to pull it out, Wheeler Yuta hits the knee behind the ref's back. Moxley finishes with the Death Rider to be able to win the match and retain his championships, or his championship. And then afterwards, it's kind of a big schmoz at the end. So you've got, the heels are all beaten down on Orange Cassidy. Hangman Adam Page comes out to hit the ring for a stare down with Moxley. Again, is is Hangman a heel or a face? What's this about? There's so many tweeners here. And then Christian comes down, lays out Moxley. Again, it's like, wait, who are we supposed to be cheering in any of this? Teases cashing in his championship or his title shot in his briefcase. And then Jay White comes down and stops Christian from cashing it in. And then the Death Riders all leave, and they're all going to the back. And a car, or I guess a truck, slams into.
There was a car slamming into the truck.
Yeah, the car slammed into the truck as they're trying to get away. A big car crash, right? So then, let's see here. So they basically commandeer another vehicle, steal another vehicle to get out of there. And then it's shown that Darby Allin was the one that crashed into the vehicle. And apparently Darby Allin did his own stunt here. So this was not a stunt man. Darby Allin did that crash.
Of course he did.
Of course he did, right? And that's why he's staggering and everything and bleeding. And we kind of laughed because he was trying to climb up onto the truck with his skateboard, and he was having very much different, it was very difficult for him to do, and he kept slipping. But he gets up there and he's smashing the windshield with his skateboard and basically, cursing it at the Death Riders. And that's pretty much where the show ends. So apparently the reason why they had so many guys run out to do this was to showcase how many different challengers there are for Moxley's title. And that sounds good in theory. My only issue is you have the lines are too blurred. Like I don't know who to cheer for, who's heel, who's face. Why are they all going after Moxley? I understand Moxley has the title, but I would have done it differently. I would have had the face go down, against another heel. You could have the heel go cut him off, right, to stop the baby face, and maybe he accidentally bumps into Moxley or something, and they look like they're going to come to blows because, or they stare down and he looks at the title or something like that, and then the other baby face comes down, like Hangman should not have been the first one out there to confront Moxley. Should have been another babyface to make the save on Orange Cassidy. And then you've got Hangman coming down.
There's one face, and true face in that whole mix.
And that is
the problem. Darby Allin. So
that is the problem, right? Yeah, I don't know. And Hangman Adam, if you're trying to highlight all the people that are contenders for the title, why is Hangman Adam Page even still in the contention? He lost tonight. He lost the match. He lost the last match I remember him having on pay-per-view. He loses all the time. Why is he still in contention to highlight that? What is he even doing out here? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Welcome to AEW.
Yeah, they're trying to be Attitude Era where there's no good guys or bad guys. They're all tweeners. But it's not working because the tweeners in WWE Attitude Era, like Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff, the fans were behind them, right? So they weren't really tweeners. They were doing heelish things, but the crowd were cheering the anti-heroes at that point.
Being a true face or heel is not always by your react or by what you do, but by the reaction you get. And where the fans don't know how to react, that's a bad thing. You need to be able to, and I say this with as nicely as I can, spoon-fed these fans to be able to explain, this is the guy you should cheer for, this is the guy you should boo. And if the fans are cheering for somebody else that they're not expecting to, you now make that person the person they need to cheer for. So, booking is both hard and not hard.
Mm-hmm. It's hard if you don't know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
And I give a lot of credit to Tony Khan, and especially initially, like helping AEW get off the ground and putting the money there. And initially, like, I feel like he had to have had help booking in the early days. It wasn't just Tony Khan.
No, it was Cody.
Right. And the stories made a lot better sense, right? There were stories at the beginning, right? There were actually really good stories. And now,
because they had the bookings via Rhodes. So
right, exactly, of course, right. And now it's when it's just Tony Khan, like, he's out of touch with what is going to make money. Like, it's just, all right, what's going to be the best matches? You don't know why these two are fighting each other? Oh, they had an interaction on Rampage that a couple thousand people watched, and they don't do a video package on it. They just expect you to know. Or it's like, oh, they had a run-in on Ring of Honor that's not televised. What, you're not watching all of the products that are out there? It's like, he expects everybody to be hardcore wrestling fans, and that is not going to be what makes this company grow. I don't know. I don't know what to tell him until he wakes up. And I don't want to be too harsh on AEW, but until Tony Khan wakes up and says, hey, you know what? I can run the company, but I should not be the only one coming up with ideas. Like, I need to put together a booking team or hire like some proven bookers, some proven creative team members. Until he does that and realizes that, hey, what I'm doing is not working and the crowd is shrinking, until he realizes that, I really worry about AEW and where they're going to be in 5 years from now.
I agree. I'm hoping that things get righted at some point, but I don't know. And I'm not seeing any hope really at the end of this tunnel. But I guess we'll just have to see.
What a bummer that we ended things on, huh?
I know. I was going to say, that being said, guys, let us know your feelings. Let us know your favorite matches from this pay-per-view. And let us know what you think AEW is going to be like in 5 years. If it's going to be around in 5 years. Reach out to us on our social medias, Be Hero Media on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also reach out to us directly at Mike Burke, DCW on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. TikTok, and then Mike Burke Pro on Twitter. Haha. And then you can reach out to Psycho at Psycho Wrestling on the Facebooks. All right. And then for Devotion Championship Wrestling, we have our biggest show of the year, our anniversary show, December 7th, coming up at Lightree Studios in Salt Lake City. That's going to be a great show. I'm excited for it. We're going to have the returning DCW champion, Tommy Dreamer, at that show. So it's going to be a great time. I hope to see you guys all there. And then following that, we will be back in Ogden for Tussle Time 14. Tussle Time 16, December 14th. That should be a great show too. Up at Kamikazes is always a great time. Then following that, we'll be back at the beginning of the year. We'll be back January 4th at Lightree Studios. And we have a lot of other great shows coming up following that too. So please follow us for Devotion Championship Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram. You can go to Devotion Championship Wrestling. At Twitter, you can go to DCW Salt Lake City, and on TikTok, Devotion Wrestling. Lastly, starting after that show on December 7th, we are going to be going back to YouTube at Devotion Wrestling on YouTube. We will be starting our newest episodes the beginning of January, starting from that show. So if you want to go to a live taping of DCW, join us December 7th at Lightree Studios for our anniversary show. All right, Talk. You're not Talks. You look nothing like Talks. All right, Nikki. Is there anything left
No, I don't think so. Just
Oh, man.
I hope our fans have a very happy Thanksgiving and eat lots of turkey and spend time with those close to them.
I as well. I hope you guys also enjoy all the football that's going to be happening today. Be safe wherever you are. Get home safe. And for the rest of Be Hero Media, this is us tapping out. Have a great night, guys.